Hello? Is it me you're looking for? And I wonder where you are. And I wonder what you do. Are you somewhere feeling lonely? Or someone loving you? Tell me how in your heart. 'Cause I haven't got a clue. Let me start by saying da 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 dun dun. I love you. Alright, We're about to begin, so hang tight. Sorry for the delay. Just a couple minutes and we'll begin. Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the late start. We might not have a lot of persons online this evening. We've been having some trouble in the communication with our patients. But it's my hope that we'll still be able to make it in good time, and more persons will find us and join us as we'll discuss. Just on the front, we have a handout for the lecture, and I'm going to ask that you click on the link. I'm going to try to pin the link so the pinned message has a link on it that if you follow that link, it will take you to the handout for the class that you can download and watch and follow along as you're watching. So click that link and let us begin. Okay, so that will do it. So good evening, everyone. Let us begin. And I invite you to, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask. I'm not sure if YouTube allows you to be able to use the microphone to send a note or to ask a question that I can hear your question rather than just seeing you type it. But as it is now, if you have a question to ask, I'm going to invite you to just type it in the chat. If you have not yet done so, please write your name in the chat so that we're able to follow, to see who it is that's communicating with us, and let us get to this information in good time. I'm going to try to see if I can get you out as close as possible to 7 o'clock, which would mean I have to be very efficient as I'm going through the slides and not to do too much side chattering. So we shall see. We shall find out together. Melissa, welcome. Haven't seen you in a very long time. maybe a couple hours. But let us begin, shall we? All right, so the topic this evening is the 7 keys to getting and staying well. The 7 keys to getting and staying well. Now, as we are discussing it, and of course our information is up there, the importance of this class is to be able to have persons be able to make wise choices for themselves and for their families. So this is what the handout looks like, except that the handout that you have access to via the link, if you click on the link, maybe it's there, maybe it's there, maybe it's there, I don't know. Wherever the link is, your chat section is, the link has been posted as a pinned message. So click on that link. It takes you to our handout. This is what the handout looks like. But in your version, the blanks have already been filled in for you. So that should make it easier. So, as we're discussing the 7 keys, the first key, and please understand that my goal here is to help you to make wise choices. It's not to bash an industry. It is not to bad name or bad mouth an industry. We want to be able to help you to make wise choices, which means you're my focus, and I want you to be able to not think in a way that is designed to have you make a decision that benefits somebody else more than it benefits you. So it's my goal that you make good decisions in life. To be able to make a good decision, you need to know who all the players are. And I know a lot of persons, they go to their doctors. I've heard people come to my office and say, you know, I'm tired of going to my doctor because every time I go to my doctor, all them doing is just write peer prescription, peer prescription. They're not giving me anything else. And the bottom line is, if you are going to a medical doctor is an expert in 2 things that's unique to them. 1 is writing prescriptions, and 2 is performing surgeries. So if you're going to your medical doctor hoping for good health advice, you might get advice, but it's usually something of the order of you need to eat well, you need to exercise some more, or you need to eat a better diet or exercise some more. It sounds like you're being told something, but the reality is that there is really no information conveyed when you just say to somebody, eat well. What does eat well mean? Exercise. Okay, cool. What is exercise? How much exercise is appropriate? What type of exercise should I do? You know, so more information is obviously needed for it to be meaningful. What I want is for you to be able to, 1, recognize when you're not given meaningful information, 2, ask for this information, 2 is know what you're going to get by knowing what the person you're going to provides. And stop bad thinking that the medical profession is, they're not necessarily out to get you. The medical profession is trained to achieve a particular objective. It's one of 2 things that they're primarily trained to do: ease suffering and save lives. And sometimes when the goal is to ease suffering, a decision might be made that is not a healthy decision, because we all know that many medications are not good for you. They're actually toxic. The question is how toxic, and how harmful is it to your body? Can your body withstand the toxic burden of the medication while allowing you to have a therapeutic benefit? And that's always the question that your doctors have to balance or ask whenever they're making decisions as to what to prescribe for you. Will this offer a benefit that's greater than the cost to your health by having taken it? And so that is very important. So for the first key, it says sick care versus health care. Sick care versus healthcare. We are, as far as our policies are concerned, our policies are based on the primary target market or target audience we see. In any business, this is true. If you are somebody who are in the business of providing prosthetic limbs, then your policies will be around people who are amputees, people who have agenesis of a limb, people who did not born with a limb. You know, those are the people that you're targeting. So therefore, your products and services will be surrounding that demographic. In the healthcare system that we call the healthcare system, the primary person that they cater to are sick people. People who have an ailment, one thing wrong with them or another. This becomes their primary market, their primary target audience. And since that's their target audience, you will expect that the policies and procedures and the plans that they have in place are geared towards servicing that demographic. And so when I think of what the healthcare system is, the healthcare system is really about caring for the sick. And when I say that juxtaposed against the notion of providing health or optimizing health. The healthcare system does not provide health, it doesn't optimize health, it doesn't even guide you to being able to restore your health. What it does, it eases suffering, whether it is by some pain relieving chemical that you're given, or reduces an infection to save your life or to save the quality of your life. These are things that are done. But my hope is that you understand that there is a difference between caring for the sick and caring for or providing services for the healthy. So if you're of good health, you don't need to be going to a hospital, and you definitely don't need to be going to your medical doctor. You need to be servicing persons or going to persons who are going to be able to guide you as to how to maintain this state of health. And there is tremendous value in that, right? So that's what that's the distinction that we're making. So sick care, and the difference between sick care and true health care is that one, sick care is reactive. Something has to go wrong first before an intervention can even be considered. If nothing go wrong with you, what the doctor going to tell you? You understand what I mean? Something has to go wrong first. So it's reactive. And sometimes if we wait until something goes wrong before we act, the thing that goes wrong might be something that we have no solution for. Or it might be something that causes death or permanent disability, in which case we are in trouble. So we can't simply rely on that. Second thing is true healthcare. True healthcare, as opposed to sick care, true healthcare is proactive. And what do I mean by proactive? It acts in anticipation of something going wrong, or it acts so as to prevent something from going wrong. And that's I think one of the beautiful things about a proactive or preventative or true health care lifestyle. Making decisions for your life to prevent illness in the first place. If you have 100 beds in the hospital and you have 105 patients, you have two solutions that are going to allow everybody to be seen. One is increase the number of sick beds, or two, reduce the number of sick people. And every time I hear it, and I've always marveled, whenever I hear the cry that, oh, we don't have enough beds in the hospitals for everybody, right? Well, if our focus is on making sure that a larger percentage of our population is healthy, then we can have a chance to service all the people who need beds, because we would have had fewer sick people. And so reducing the number of sick people is a beautiful thing. Drugs and surgery is not the solution for the problem that we're in now, because that's not what is the cause of the problem that we're in now with illness. the main cause of illness is not even trauma. The main cause of illness is chronic, non-communicable diseases like hypertension, like diabetes, like high cholesterol, like so many other things. It is the chronic lifestyle choices that lead to chronic lifestyle diseases. Cancer is a lifestyle disease. I don't even know if people know that. When they talk about the genetic relationship for cancers, and they say if you have a family member that has this particular gene, then you are more likely to develop the disease. And that's probably true. But if you live the same way that somebody else in your family lived and they contracted or developed cancer, then you might develop cancer as well. And it's mainly because of how you're living your life, the quality of your life, the choices that you make for health, the choices you make for food. If you're living a healthier lifestyle, it is less likely, not impossible, but less likely for you to suffer some of these maladies. So that is an important point to note. Now, the ways that we try to get persons to think as it relates to healthcare is we want persons to think in terms of a wellness approach versus an illness approach. Now, if you try to understand how it works, we are on a continuum. The continuum goes from death on the bottom end to optimal life on the top end. If our optimal health on the top end, if we are moving up towards optimal health, we're moving in a direction, we call that direction wellness. If we're moving from wherever we are on the spectrum toward death and disease, we're moving in a direction of illness. So illness is moving towards death and disease, wellness is moving toward optimal health. And so if we want to think in a way that moves us closer to death and disease, then the way that the main pharmaceutical companies that market to us tell us that we ought to think is the way that we need to think. But if our goal is to be optimally well, to be as healthy as possible, then we cannot think according to the dictates of the pharmaceutical industry. How does that work? We're told by this industry to, if we have a headache, for example, we are told to ask this question of our doctors. Doctor, you have anything that I can take to feel a little better? I have a headache. Feeling better cannot be a good goal, because there are too many ways that persons can manipulate how you feel in the short term without offering meaningful long-term benefit. And if they are able to do that, then they're able to take your money, while you are left with very little or no real meaningful benefit. So rather than simply saying, what can I take to feel better? How about asking it a little different way? How about asking, is there anything I can do in order to get better? Now, getting better is far more desirable than just simply feeling better. And so that's what we want. We want to get better. We want to get better. How about this other way that the illness model teaches us to think? They have us think, or they will have us think, that wellness is a destination. That it's almost like wishful thinking. Boy, you're lucky, you're healthy, man. Or, boy, this person was able to live to be such and such and they never needed to see a doctor. Boy, them lucky. Or, boy, them have good genes. When the reality is, it is not luck that dictates how healthy you are. It is the choices you make that dictate how healthy you are, or the choices that are made for you. Some persons, unfortunately, don't get to make their own choices, and choices are made for them. Like children. And this is why, part of the reason why we're here. I want children to have persons who will be making the choices for them, Wellness is not a destination. Wellness is a journey. And so if we think about it in terms of the process of getting there, it is far better than thinking of it in terms of the destination itself. So how does this work? Rather than simply asking the question, Doc, what can I take to get well? Or what do I need to do to get well? You ask, what do I need to do to stay well? Since it's about the journey, it's about staying on course, traveling in the direction and staying in that direction, not deviating to the left or to the right. The journey is the good part about wellness. And if we're on the right path, we will have a better likelihood of being healthy. And so the choices that we make on an ongoing basis is what will allow us to stay well. So getting well, which is wishful thinking, we don't want. Staying well, which requires constant, persistent decision making toward good health is what we want. Good choices is what we want. Last one is staying alive. And how long people live has been, for many people, the way that they measure how healthy they are, or how healthy a society is, or how well a medical intervention is doing, is how long people live. And there is some overlap, yes, I agree, meaning that the healthier you are, typically, the longer you will tend to live. But technology has gotten so good now that you can have very poor health and still remain animated. And there are many people that we know, they're on life support, they're in hospice care, they're dying, but they're dying slowly. You know, they have a terminal ailment or terminal illness and but the medications are able to keep them alive. Staying alive for me cannot be the goal. I would rather, for me personally, you know, you can have your own thing, but for me personally, I'd rather be able to say, you know what? I feel alive today. Which for me, for the most part, this is how I feel almost every single day. I feel alive. Now, that speaks to the quality of one's life, not the quantity of one's life, the quality, which in my opinion, far exceeds or far trumps the length of life. That's for me. Continuing on, because there is a way that we have to behave or choices that we have to make in order to achieve this staying or keeping, well, let's go back here because I want to say this again. There's a subtle difference between the illness care way of thinking and the wellness care way of thinking. According to the illness care way of thinking, it is feel, get, stay. Feel better, get well, stay alive. Versus in the wellness care, it's get, stay, feel. Get better, stay well, feel alive. I would rather focus on getting well, getting better, staying well, and feeling alive than on simply just feeling better, getting well, and staying alive. But that's just me personally. And if we want to achieve this, there are some things that we're going to have to do. Now, is pain a good thing or a bad thing? How many people say pain is a good thing? Raise your hand. I was just testing you. This is on YouTube, so if you raise your hand, we still can't see you. Alright, so just indicate in the chat. If you think pain is a good thing, raise your hand. If you think pain is a bad thing, raise your hand. Or in the chat, put your little hand signal in the chat. Or you can say good thing, bad thing, whatever. Indicate in the chat whether you think pain is a good thing or a bad thing. I won't dwell on this long because I want to move forward, because there is a purpose to pain, right? Whether good or bad, there is a purpose to pain. And what's the purpose? Pain alerts us that something has changed in our system and requires our attention. That's it. Pain tells us there's something wrong. The problem is that pain doesn't always tell us that when something is wrong. There are some things that go wrong and there's no pain to warn us. So that's something I have to be careful about. But there is a problem with pain. It has its usefulness, but there is a limitation. And that is that it can't always tell us when something is wrong. And since it can't always tell us that something is wrong, the presence or absence of pain or the absence of pain cannot confirm the presence of health. The absence of pain cannot confirm the presence of health. It is so important that we recognize this. So if we want to have good health, we have to find a different way of measuring our state of health. And that is by way of assessing how our bodies are working. Feeling good is not the same thing as good health, but good health is healthy function. Our bodies must be working properly in order for us to be able to even claim good health. So trust function, not feeling. Very important. Trust function, not feeling. Now, what functions are we going to be trusting here? According to this chart, the functions that we have to look at are the functions of the body, the different organ systems of the body. And these systems include our digestive, our immune system, our nervous system, our cardiovascular system, musculoskeletal, excretory, reproductive, endocrine, respiratory, and integumentary system. These are all the systems of our body. But there is one system that is considered to be the master control system of the body. And that is because that one system governs the reaction or the action or the function of every other system in our body. It tells our digestive system how to act or how to behave. It tells our reproductive system how to function. It tells our endocrine system how to work, our integumentary system. It sends a signal to every system guiding their function, directing their function. And so this is very, very important. So with the nervous system, there are some things I want to point out to you. So here they are. If you notice, there are different, this is the brain and this is the spinal cord, that white thing that's going down in the middle of the back. That's the spinal cord. There are some little projections that leave the spinal cord and extend. And these projections are the nerves that leave the spine. And if you notice, every single organ that's on the screen here will have two sets of nerves that go to it. One that is yellow and one that is blue. The yellow and the blue ones. Now, this is a division or an example of the autonomic or the automatic nervous system. It controls the things that we have no control over. That is, it controls our involuntary system. So our heart rate, for example, our breathing rate, our digestion, it controls all of those things. Now, if you notice the different colored bars, or different colored lines that go to them, the one will act as the accelerator and the other one will act as the brakes. One will act as the accelerator and one is acting as the brakes. This is how we are able to control the rate of our heart, rate of digestion, rate of breathing, because the brain can send a signal to tell it to speed up, but it can also send a signal to tell it to slow down. So the nervous system is considered to be the master control system. The problem is that the nervous system travels between the bones of the spine to get out of the spine via the nerves. And so if something is out of whack, then you will find that the nerves might become impinged. So if the bones get shifted or the cartilage between the bones get shifted, it may irritate the nerves and therefore change the nervous system function, which will potentially affect another system of our bodies. Have you ever noticed for some people, they may have like a car accident and they've never had sinus problems before, but all of a sudden they start to develop sinus problems after a car accident. Or they've never had acid reflux before, and a few years after an accident they notice they start to have acid reflux. Or they have acid reflux out of the blue, and then when they look back they realize that they were in an accident a few years ago. These are all things that kind of alert us as to what we need to be focusing on, because the further upstream that we go to deal with any of our health issues is the better. We want to travel as close to the source as possible. So rather than saying, well, acid reflux is a stomach acid problem, which it is not, we say instead that acid reflux is caused potentially by the sphincter that's not opening, or sorry, not closing fully when you eat. Now, what causes the sphincter to close? Well, a sphincter is a muscle, and nerves tell muscles to contract. These are autonomic nerves that tell muscles to contract. And if the muscles are not contracting fully, then it is more the nerve that's the problem. Now, what is causing that nerve to not fire or function properly, resulting in the acid reflux? It might be as simple as that fall that you had or that car accident that you had shifted something, caused it to irritate the nerve that goes to control the tight closing of your lower part of your esophagus. And this is what car accidents do largely for a lot of people. And that's because the accidents typically affect people's necks and upper backs more than their middle to lower back. And so this is what we see. All right, let's move forward. We have a special term that we give to a misaligned vertebra. When a vertebra or a bone of the spine is out of its normal alignment with the other bones, we call it a vertebral subluxation. And a vertebral subluxation is what causes nervous system dysfunction. So if you were to look at this diagram here, and I'm going to try to see if I can show it to you closely. There are 5 bones of this spine. The third one from the top, which is the middle bone, is not lined up properly. I don't know if you can see that. That third bone is not lined up properly, and because it's not lined up properly, it may cause irritation of the nerves in the back, because this bone is shifted backwards. If you notice, the nerve that's in the back has to go through the opening between these bones. So if a bone gets shifted relative to the other bone, it may pinch on the nerve. So this explains a pinched nerve and a slip disc, because the cartilage, if you move the bones, can also slip. So these are important. And whatever it is that this nerve controls, if the slip affects the nerve, then whatever the nerve controls will be affected as well. In some people's case, it is the acid reflux because it controls the esophagus. In some people's cases, it causes stress response. Because whenever your body is going through these things, stress response is one of the things that your body does to alert you that something is off. And so people may end up in this predicament, and then they end up being in a stressed state and not even know why sometimes. Now, stresses is what cause subluxations to occur. Stresses is what cause your body to break down. You have physical stress, biochemical stress, and psychological stress. The physical one, like trauma, and we've already discussed that. Car accidents, falls, these are things that we know cause physical stress. Biochemical stresses, things that we put into our bodies or onto our skins, that gets absorbed into our bodies. These are things that we have to be mindful of. And psychological stresses, persons who are going through emotional trauma or emotional stress. they are the ones who typically experience this type. So whether it's a job situation that's changing, whether it is your spouse is, you and your spouse not on good terms, whatever it is, these things can cause your systems to get thrown off, if you will. The solution for it is not to take a pill. The solution is to restore the relationships. Now, this slide kind of explains why people get sick, and I'm going to try to fly through it real quickly. At the bottom, it says our ability to adapt is based on the width of our gap. In this case, our gap is our general adaptive potential, our ability to adapt to our environment. That's what that means. The general adaptive potential is our ability to adapt to our environment. So every gap will have a lower limit and an upper limit. The upper limit is what we call the gap. The space between the two, rather, is what we call the gap. Now, the wider the upper limit is, or the further it is from the lower limit, is the wider your gap will be. The closer the upper limit is to the lower limit, is the narrower your gap is. The wider your gap is the more you can tolerate before you break down. Now, the higher your gap is, the closer you approach what we call vitality. And if your gap starts to fall, the upper limit starts to fall, you're approaching death. So vitality on one hand, death on the other hand. There are stressors that cause our bodies to break down. These are our environmental stressors or our external stressors. These are things that we have to be mindful of because they cause problems in our systems. Now, the only thing that we have to oppose the external stressor is our internal resistance. Our body's own ability to fight whatever the external stresses are placing on us. Now, if our internal resistance is strong, then our upper limit will not fall. It may sometimes even get wider still. But if our internal resistance is weak, then our limit may fall as a result of the constant pressures on our external world. And as long as our life experiences are within the boundaries of our gap, we never get sick. We don't break down, we don't die, we don't have cancer, nothing. The only time that we can exceed any of these is if the upper limit were to fall down. So what happens if the upper limit falls down? Then one or more of the areas that were once well within the boundaries of the gap and so was not affecting us now start to affect us, not because we have gotten sicker, but simply because we have allowed our resistance to falter. And when our resistance falters, then the environmental stresses will overpower us. Now, chiropractic is a wonderful tool that is great at doing many things. One of the things it's good at is improving the function of your nervous system. Because your nervous system is what controls our ability to adapt to our environment, then chiropractic is one of the tools that can widen our gap. But we don't limit it to say chiropractic is the tool that widens your gap. It's one of many. Now, if you're doing all the chiropractic adjustments in the world, but you fail to eat properly, it doesn't matter, you'll still get sick. We don't want people to get sick, we want them to get well, so this is what we are focused on. The sixth one is identifying subluxations wherever and whenever they occur. And at our office, we have a special tool that we use to assist us in measuring the spinal function to see if there's anything in the spine remotely related to the issues in somebody's health. So we have tools that can measure the temperature of the skin, which measures the autonomic functions of the spine. And we have another one called the surface electromyography, or surface EMG, which measures the muscle activity of the spine. And both give us good information as to the health of the individual, as far as it relates to their spine, their spinal health. So, what is a chiropractor? A chiropractor is a very specialized type of doctor, and what we do is we do not use medications to treat our patients. In fact, or instead, we use chiropractic type maneuvers. Some persons call them chiropractic adjustments, some persons call them chiropractic manipulations, spinal manipulations. It's a part of a broader umbrella term called spinal manipulative therapy, of which chiropractors, and it's not just my opinion, are the best trained. We spend the most time or the most hours developing our skills before we can even graduate. So a chiropractor is a special doctor, and I'm going to use this illustration to show how it is that the chiropractor is able to improve somebody's function. Now, if it is true that the chiropractor can improve one's function, then one's nervous system function, then there has to be some way of demonstrating that it can improve the brain's function, or how the brain views the body. And that's what we see here. A woman was asked to wiggle her left ankle. So that's from up here. She was asked to wiggle her left ankle. And having wiggled the left ankle, she was given a test. The first one was before the adjustment, and the second one was after the adjustment. In the test before the adjustment, we saw areas of activity in the brain represented by the different colored lights, showing that many areas of the brain were recruited to do that simple movement, wiggling the left ankle. After she received her adjustment, there were fewer areas of brain involvement. As you can see right here, fewer areas of brain involvement. And this was within a very short time frame after the adjustment. And the adjustment of the spine was made to the upper cervical spine by this particular person. And so what you can see clearly from the two pictures is that in the section after the adjustment, there are fewer areas of activity to do the same task, which means that the task has become more efficient, or the brain has become more efficient at recognizing what has gone wrong and what needs to be done to correct it. So when somebody asks you what type of the doctor is a chiropractor, please answer. A chiropractor is a nervous system doctor, because that's what our interventions affect more than anything else. It doesn't affect the bones so much because it's not so much about the bones. It's just using the bones as a means by which we're freeing up the nerves. This is what becomes the important factor. A chiropractic neurologist is, we have a special training that allows us to retrain the brain itself, whereas all chiropractors are trained to realign the spine. The chiropractic neurologist is also equipped with new tools. Yes, the tools may include realigning the spine, but it may include giving exercises or therapies specific to areas of the brain. And that's what we do. And this is non-medicinal. Sometimes we may have to collaborate with a medical doctor because medication might be needed in a particular case. However, generally speaking, we are able to correct most of the issues that people face without any need for medication. And it goes beyond just chiropractic neurology. Now, chiropractic neurologists around the world, we see many different types of people, and these are some of the conditions that we have treated. And these are all conditions that I personally have treated. Some will get better, some not so much. Some will almost completely go away. But it depends on the severity, obviously. Now, at our office, we have 3 primary goals for patient interaction. One is we want to be able to identify the subluxations when they're happening, wherever they're happening in the spine. 2 is we want to provide a program of care specific to each individual to address their particular concerns. And 3, and this is big for us, we want to educate our community. This class is one way that we educate the general public, but there's another radio show that we have on RGR that allows us to be able to register the all right, lost that train there for a second. We have our show on the radio, and there are many ways that people can tune in and follow us on that program. It's on Radio Jamaica 94 FM, and we are on every Tuesday at 8 p.m. So you can make a note of it, 8 o'clock every Tuesday night. And for those who are Facebook people, we also stream it live on Facebook as well. And we have many videos that are archived on our Facebook page. Just type in, go into facebook.com and just type in Back to Health Talk Show. Back to Health Talk Show. One word. And it should help to bring it about. Who's responsible for our health and well-being? The final key is we are responsible for taking care of our health. We are the ones who are ultimately the ones who need to. Nobody else can take care of our health for us. And we can't relinquish the responsibility to our providers, to our doctors. We have to be responsible for our own health. So if you're a minor, like a child, then it is your parents or your caregivers that are responsible for your health. If you are an older person and you don't really have the capacity anymore, then it is somebody else, preferably a family member, who will have power of attorney to address and represent you as it relates to any healthcare decisions. But by and large, we are responsible for our own health. We need to make wise choices as we're going along. This is one of my favorite testimonials. We have many testimonials on our Facebook, on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel. So just go to our YouTube after this section, this is done, and just look up some of these videos. They are very interesting videos. I like this one in particular. Now, as a special offer, if it is that you would like to become a patient of ours, or not even, I wouldn't even put it that way. If you have an issue, or you think you might have an issue, or you don't even know if you have an issue because there's no pain to warn you, and you want to find out whether or not your spine is operating normally or functioning the way it should, then you can make an appointment to see us. But before making that appointment, if you are not a patient as yet, and you would like to become a patient or to get examined at our office, we're going to suggest that you first and foremost indicate in the chat your name, because this is what we're going to use to indicate that you are here. And just for being a part of this lecture tonight, we're offering you not free of charge, but at a significant savings, the new patient examination. That is a 40% discount off your new patient exam, if it is that you would like to take advantage of that. just note that there are many issues that people have, and so the wait time unfortunately is a long time, but we are here nonetheless. The time does run off, so make your appointment if you would like to, and eventually when you come in to see us, we will be able to hopefully address those issues. If you're an existing patient, there are 3 things that you will get. One is a 20% discount off your update exam, which is almost the same cost of the new patient exam. 2 is you'll get a 20% referral discount per person that you refer. So for everybody that you refer, they will get a 20% discount. And the last thing is there is an additional 10% discount off the successive phase of care, meaning that after you've watched this, just let them know, let our office know that you've watched it, and you will get a 10% discount off any subsequent, well, the next phase of care, if it is that you have more treatments to do. It's not off every next phase of care, only the next one. So if you've already done one, started the course of action, then the next phase will be for a 10% discount. All right, so those are the things. Now, for each person that you refer, they will get a 20% discount off their examination as well, just because you refer them. So we'll make sure that they have your name, because yours will serve as the only way that we can know that it's an official person. So, very quickly, here's what I'm going to suggest that you do. Take down this email address. appointments@gcnjamaica.com. If you follow that email address, then it will take you to if you go to that email address, you can indicate your name there so that Karen can know that you have watched the class and you are hoping to get your discounts. Whether you're a new patient or an existing patient, this is a good backup if you do not have your name in the chat. But that name in the chat is important as well. So please make sure that it is there. Having said all this, we are very grateful that you are able to join us tonight. These are the links that pertain to us. Our website is gcnjamaica.com. Facebook, just type in facebook.com and type in GCN Jamaica. It takes you to our Facebook page. On YouTube, just type in Gardner Chiropractic. It takes you to our YouTube channel. And for other reasons, if there's a need, for example, watching the show, you can watch our radio show on Facebook by going to facebook.com and typing in Back to Health Talk Show. It will take you to our page so you can watch all the shows that we have uploaded onto Facebook. But thank you so much for being a part of our lecture today. It is my hope that you would have learned something, and I hope that what you learned was really meaningful. I wish you all the very best with everything, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow or later on next week or whenever I see you. But as it is now, thank you so much for joining us for our last or most recent presentation. And join us again on the 20th of July for our next patient health workshop. We try to have this class every single Tuesday evening, so be aware of that. Thank you so much, and take good care of yourselves. Have a great night.